and welcome back to my channel. So I am here with episode 5 of my Happy Mail series, and you guys can see I've got kind of a little project that I'm gonna do for this one. So last time I showed you guys how I like to package up ephemera and washi tape samples using my homemade envelopes to send to pen pals. And you guys remember that I said you guys would see this sticker in a future video. Well, this is going to be the video. So what I decided, because I'm going to make sort of a full cohesive Happy Mail that I'm going to then send to somebody, is I like to include at least once when I send Happy Mail a homemade notebook, because that's kind of one of my things that I do, and so I like to include those once in a while for pen pals. Hopefully they can use them either for notes or doodles or what have you, but I also just have a lot of fun making them. So I know I've got other video tutorials on how to make like notebooks that fit in traveler's notebooks, but this is one that I like to do for things that are going to go into a smaller envelope, is a mini notebook. So this is not a particular size. It's basically just designed to fit into most of my note card sized envelopes. And this is not something I do all the time. So if you are one of my pen pals and you've gotten a notebook before and you're like, it wasn't that size, that's okay. This is something that I have recently thought that I would start doing with new pen pals. So we'll see how it goes. Also, this just gives you an idea of some of the things I like to send in my Happy Mail. And the reality is I do often send homemade notebooks. But without further ado, I'm going to make a little mini notebook. So I've got a few pieces of paper. Oops, I decided that I wanted to do this mix of black and craft paper. I have a piece of vellum, which I love to do, and it's going to be really hard to see. Hopefully you can. There's little like gold leaflets or buds or I don't know what that are on this. And then I also have this piece of paper that I used for a different notebook, probably actually, that I had left over that's actually just the right size for what I want to do. So before I decided to start, I had to figure out what size I actually wanted to make. So what I did is I folded one of the pieces of craft paper in half and I measured. So I'm actually going to make, and let me make sure I'm telling you the right size. I'm pretty sure it's a 5x4. Nope, and I'm already on inches, not centimeters. Good job, Caitlin. Yes, so it's going to be, it's actually this way. So it's going to be 5 inches tall by 4 inches wide so that it'll fit in a standard note card sized envelope. And the reason that I have this one already set up is because for certain pieces of paper, I actually like to use my paper cutter to get a really nice clean cut. So what I'm actually gonna do is line up all of my pieces of paper that are gonna go inside and make sure I've got this part, there we go, and these two. So these are both from paper books that are A5 size, so they're all pretty much the exact same size. So what I'm gonna do is actually move some stuff out of the way so I have some room. Oops, is actually cut them using my paper cutter. So I can do about 12 sheets in this paper cutter, which is pretty nice. And I think I've only got about 6 or 8. I think it's like 8. So I like to line up, whoops, the pencil line right there. Good. Okay, so that is one. And this is just a much faster way than doing it on my cutting board. Now, this side, I am not sure if this is gonna work because it's kind of a lot of paper and it's not a very thick cut that I need to make. So, ooh, that worked better than expected. Excellent. All right, whoops, one more cut. There we go. Okay. And then got this side. Ooh, all right, gotta be careful. Sometimes the paper will shift on you. Oops, all right, come on, stay down. Yeah, so this one's not going to be quite as neat, but that's okay. All right, so there we go. So I would not recommend trying to use a paper cutter when you only have like ½ centimeter to cut, but I decided to try it. It does kind of work, just maybe not as cleanly as if you have a little bit more of an overhang. So move those tiny bits of paper off to the side there. All right, so now I have all of my main pieces of paper cut down to size. This was the one that I was using as my template. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull my cutting board over. So I am going to do this on the back side here. Oops. So I don't like to actually cut on top of my cut template, just because I can kind of misjudge. So what I like to do after I've done that first cut, so with the first one I had just done the pencil lines on it, I hadn't actually cut anything out, so that was fine. But now that I've cut out those craft pages, I'll use it as a template, but I don't actually like to cut on it, which is why I go to using, oops, and of course this one didn't cut through all the way, which is why I go to using my cutting mat rather than the cutting board, because I can just do a pencil line over and it's a little bit easier. But it also kind of depends on what I feel like. Sometimes I do everything on the cutting mat, sometimes I do everything with my paper cutter, and I totally, oh my goodness. Sigh. All right, you know what we're gonna do? Because lefty problem, I had my little extras, my X-Acto knife started drifting a little bit. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this shorter, and I'm going to allow it to have an overhang, and I'm gonna use that as part of the decoration, which I'm not gonna make the same mistake twice. I'm gonna cut away this way. There we go. So this is one of the other reasons why I do like to use the paper cutter when possible, and of course that one worked perfectly. There we go. So I'm going to end up using this a little bit differently than I had thought I would, but that's okay. And then let's do, I think, so that I don't accidentally mess this up, I'm going to do pencil lines and just go ahead and use the paper cutter like I should have done. Live and learn. Yeah, it definitely won't fit that way. So, and I'm actually gonna make it a tiny bit bigger, just kind of giving myself a little bit of an edge, tiny little overhang, and let's do so there, and give or take. This one's not an exact science, and I can always cut it down if I really need to, if I don't like how large it is. So got that. Let's go ahead and, in all honesty, this paper cutter is just way easier and it creates way nicer lines. It's just sometimes I don't use it for everything. I should though. All right, so now I'm gonna move, actually, I'm not gonna move this yet. Hold on a second. So now what I like to do is I start folding all my pages in half so I can kind of see. Actually, before I even do that, where is, if you guys could see my desk right now, you would understand why I'm having such a hard time finding my eraser. I have so much stuff on my desk right now. So, just, even though this is going to be the inside, I do like to erase the little pencil lines. So we're going to go ahead and fold. Okay, so this is my outer cover. And I think we're going to do this side. Not for any particular reason, just because. There. Okay, so what I then like to do is I like to have a pocket, which is why I still need my paper cutter. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use basically these two flowers and make that into my pocket. So there, and going to be kind of shallow, but it is also a very small notebook, so that's okay. So there, that fits nicely in there. So now I can move all of my paper cutting stuff to the side. Oops. All right, so pull back all of my pieces of paper. So here, I do actually go in and I fold each piece of paper individually, because I find that it gives me a nicer crease, and then I don't have as many pages that have sort of a wonky fold to them. And I sometimes fold with, so this craft paper has like the shiny side and the matte side, and sometimes I kind of do them mismatch. Sometimes I do it where I have the matte on the outside, sometimes it's the shiny on the outside, it just kind of depends. Gives it just a different feel to the notebook, so you don't have always the shiny pages facing matte pages or vice versa, what have you. So just to give it a little bit of a different look. Okay. So there, and then I actually would have done another sheet of this black paper, except that I didn't realize my paper pad only had 2 sheets left. So that's all we're gonna have in here. Oops, nope, I'm gonna do that on the inside. All right, so let's make a stack, flatten all my lines. So then what I like to do is, and actually make sure, make sure I don't lose my pocket, there we go. So now what I like to do is set up all the pages in the way that I want them to go in the notebook. So I think what I'm actually gonna do is, as much as possible, because obviously I don't have enough black pages to do that fully, alternate with craft and black. So we're gonna do like this. And this is not what I would necessarily consider a true junk journal, because I just use 2 kinds of paper, they're all the same size, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to something that's this size, I do like having full pages, because I feel like a lot of people can use this as, and actually I'm gonna go ahead and do one more craft one. I feel like people can use them as like a sidekick for their bullet journal, or like a note taking place. And so that's why I don't like to do too crazy, like too small of pages in something that's this size, so that it's actually a usable size still. So let's stick it in here and see how it looks. All right, not too bad. So there is, because, you know, it's a homemade notebook and I cut all of my pages the same size, there is a tiny bit of an overhang. And sometimes I cut it off, sometimes I don't. It depends, depends how bad it is, so to speak, like how thick the notebook actually is. But this one's actually only like 8 pages, I think. Let's see, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 pages. So because it's only 9 pages and I usually do like 10 to 12, maybe a little bit more, I probably won't end up cutting this edge off, but we'll see. So this one, because I'm trying to keep this video a little bit shorter, and because you guys have seen the videos where I actually will do the stitched binding, I am going to use my brochure stapler. With a notebook this size, it'll stick together pretty well, and that way I can kind of keep this video a tiny bit shorter. So I like to make sure I have my pages. So since I did give a little bit of an overhang, I'm kind of centering the pages on the top and the bottom, and then I hold in the center, and I do it so that the inside of the staple is on the inside, and then I basically catch, there's like a little lip on the stapler on this side, and I kind of catch that on the spine, and that usually means I'm pretty in line, usually. Let's see if I am. Oh gosh, come on. Okay, well this might be a little bit thicker than needed. All right, we are going to readjust. Oh gosh. Yeah, I think my staple, ooh, I got 2 out. That's not a good sign. All right, hold on a second. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna pull off. There we go. Okay, so let's reattempt that and make sure I actually have, so I do have staples left. I don't know why that, oops, accidentally got one. There we go. So, take 2. I don't know exactly what happened. There. So, once again, kind of center over the spine. And a lot of times, because it is kind of a thick book, there we go. I press it on the table to kind of get it in there, and so that worked better. Flip it, do the same thing. So okay, good. And I'm gonna actually, on top of my ruler so I don't accidentally dent my table, just kind of push and make sure the staples are closed pretty well. All right, good. So I have my 2 staples. There we go. And then I do my pocket. So, oops, now this is one where I got this first one a little bit off kilter, which means that it's not going to lie as flat on this one side. It'll usually do a little bit better on this side. There we go. So I'm actually going to do that section in the back and do it, oops, like so. So we're going to have, actually going to do it this way because I do a little bit of washi tape and I don't mind if that covers up that section that doesn't really have flowers. So do a little pocket there. I'm going to do it fairly low down. And let's see if this works. Oh, just about. All right, so I might need to trim the edges of that to make sure it'll fit a little bit better. There, and then I need a little bit of washi tape. So let's see what we've got. I think I'm gonna do this one. I usually do a solid washi tape, but I'm feeling a little adventurous today. There. And then oops. And sometimes I cut the edges, sometimes I tear them. It depends on the look I'm going for, but I thought kind of the torn edge would look kind of cool. So there, just a little bit of reinforcement for that pocket, and that is the notebook. So for example, if I wanted to, I could do like a little sticker here and essentially just make this one page, but I'm gonna leave it so that the person can kind of do what they want. If they want to stick it down and do whatever, they can do that. If not, it's not too bad. So that is just a quick little notebook. Obviously, if I were to sew the spine, it would take a little bit longer, but not too bad overall. And let's see, so I'm actually going to end this video here, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna show you in the next video how I sort of package up the different things to make them look all nice to then put into my Happy Mail. So that is all for today, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!